Hey, what's up everyone? I'm Pratima and I am very excited for today's video. Usually I do full camera comparisons, but today I am trying something different. I have all the best camera phones in the world right here and I am going to compare their portraits. Now, if I'm being honest, I love getting my pictures clicked and I bet there are a lot of people who are like me. So if you're thinking of buying a phone to shoot the best pictures of yourselves, you have clicked on the right video. So today's comparison is between the Galaxy S26 Ultra, the iPhone 17 Pro Max, the OPPO Find X9 Ultra, the Vivo X300 Ultra, and the Xiaomi 17 Ultra. FYI, to make it fair, I shot all of the portraits in their default mode and I have assigned 5 marks to each photo in every category so that it's easier for you guys to keep track of who's winning. With this, let's get started. Okay, so let's start with the portraits in good lighting conditions or daytime portraits. In this particular picture of me, color-wise, I have two favorites, OPPO and Samsung. I am actually not that huge of a fan of Xiaomi's over-contrasty saturated output or iPhone's unnecessary brown skin tone though. Zooming in, you will see how Samsung and iPhone's dated sensors can't hold up the details and finer textures. Meanwhile, OPPO and Vivo are the ones with the best details, especially OPPO. But when it comes to edge detection, it's Vivo that manages to separate even a single strand of hair. Next, we have Rohan's portrait, and again, Samsung manages the most pleasing skin tone somehow, while the iPhone's overprocessed brown/warm colors sort of spoil the shot. I was expecting OPPO to do well here, but I think it has made the skin a little too red and there's this strange halo around him which is quite weird. Even Xiaomi isn't able to process the skin tone or highlights well here, which leaves us with Vivo that has brought out the most balanced output. Here are a couple of other portraits in good lighting, and in almost all of them, the story is the same. Samsung generally has good colors, either iPhone or Xiaomi is competing for the last spot, and OPPO and Vivo are competing for the title. Next, I took a couple of indoor portraits, and here I really like Xiaomi's details and shadow processing. Vivo has made me extra white for some reason, while the only thing I can see in Samsung and iPhone's photos is grains when zoomed in. Here, I think the most balanced definitely is OPPO with good details, a good white balance, colors and textures. This is another indoor shot where Vivo has again decided to whiten my skin a bit too much, while OPPO has decided to make it a bit pink. At this point, I'm not even going to talk about the iPhone, and as usual, Xiaomi's contrast and shadows are a bit too high. Colors look balanced from Samsung, although with a bit of a yellow tone. And then I thought I should make things a little more difficult by shooting a portrait against the sun. This one's from our office balcony and all of the phones seem to have such a hard time here. Honestly, the way Samsung and iPhone are struggling with dynamic range makes me wonder if these are even flagship cameras, and I don't know where the Leica optimization went in Xiaomi's image as well. The only two decent results are from the OPPO Find X9 Ultra and the Vivo X300 Ultra. Actually, more from Vivo. I think Vivo has handled the dynamic range and edge detection the best even in such a difficult situation. And not just once, I clicked multiple portraits against the sun and each time Vivo came out on top, followed by OPPO and then Xiaomi, iPhone and Samsung. Next, I thought I should test the nighttime capabilities of these cameras, so I went out at around 6:30 in the evening and my sister was my muse this time. It was not completely dark just then, but still, Samsung's portrait was just too messed up. It's faded and lacks any clarity. iPhone came second last with too much of a brown skin tone. I think Vivo did the best job here maintaining good skin and details, while OPPO I think came very close to Vivo. Xiaomi struggled to maintain highlights and compensated with extra exposure and contrast. I was actually surprised by how all of these cameras are able to bring out such bright portraits even in relatively low lighting scenarios. Now, except for my sister's shot, all of the other photos in the same lighting have good output from Samsung, but like always, detail-wise, it suffers. The iPhone 17 Pro Max has consistently been providing subpar results, while Xiaomi hasn't been able to impress either. The highlights are too messed up and the face is a bit blurry because Xiaomi's shutter speed is not as fast as OPPO or Vivo. The best one has to be OPPO with good skin and details, while Vivo closes in a second with a bit of a smoothed photo. Then the sun went down completely and in the dark, Xiaomi somehow managed to bring out a balanced shot. It's not the best though, but unlike Samsung and iPhone, Xiaomi has shown some improvement here. Both the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the Galaxy S26 Ultra's images are so filled with noise that even their post-processing could not help. I like what OPPO has done. The skin processing is good, the highlight management is on point, and overall, I think OPPO has stolen the show here. Vivo is good too, but I think the skin is a bit too beautified in most scenarios. Even in this picture, Vivo has beautified the shot a lot while OPPO has preserved the sharpness and finer details. Xiaomi is consistently the third best for me during the night. I guess the 200 megapixel sensors and larger apertures truly changed the game for OPPO and Vivo during the night. OPPO has the largest sensor, by the way. Lastly, there are two more scenarios where I tested all of these smartphone cameras: golden hour and indoor studio lighting. And this was the only time when Vivo actually did just an average job with highlights. Samsung's image is too hazy to be in the competition, and don't even get me started on the dynamic range. It's just pathetic. iPhone 17 Pro Max's portrait is nothing to write home about either. It's just too brown and lacks any detail. Xiaomi's image seems like it's clicked from a budget phone. The only balanced output, I think, is from OPPO. It has the best texture, color balance, and highlights. Everything is just right. Same with this image right here. iPhone's color is bleeding for some reason. Samsung's photo is not good either. Xiaomi, well, you can see for yourself. Vivo has processed the shadows and highlights a little too much, which leaves us with OPPO that has the best result in my opinion. But then Vivo is giving good competition in some other instances, like here. Vivo has the best dynamic range, followed by OPPO, which is a little dark but acceptable. Xiaomi surprisingly looks good, but then with Samsung and iPhone, one is faded while the other's dynamic range is just miserable. Finally, if there is one aspect where iPhone and Samsung do well, is studio portraits. Most of the other cameras mess up the exposure and highlights except for the S26 Ultra and the 17 Pro Max. Especially Vivo and Xiaomi aren't able to manage highlights at all, and Xiaomi's image is just too saturated. I like OPPO's output too, especially with this photo which we shot in challenging neon lighting where blue and orange lights were directly hitting the face. OPPO has rendered the colors most accurately, whereas iPhone, Samsung and Xiaomi have blown out the blue color, and Vivo has overprocessed it so much that it has removed the blue tint altogether. I got the same results with this picture of my colleague as well. OPPO just shines in this aspect, whereas the others are literally bleeding out. Alright, so I think with this comparison, it's utterly clear that the most consistent performer has been the OPPO Find X9 Ultra. Except for one or two instances where the skin tones were rendered a bit red, for me, till now, the best portrait camera was the Vivo X300 Ultra for the past 2 years, but now I have a new favorite. I think Vivo's tendency to smoothen the skin and make them a bit white was a red flag for me. But other than that, I loved how Vivo actually had the best edge detection in all of the pictures. It was a close fight between OPPO and Vivo. Xiaomi and Samsung are battling closely for the third place, with Samsung gaining points solely because of color optimization. And finally, the iPhone 17 Pro Max is at the last spot, and I think they desperately need to upgrade the sensors and up their optimization game. So whose portraits did you prefer in this comparison? Let me know in the comments, and while you're there, do consider subscribing to my channel if you like my videos, and I will see you in the next one.